Hello. Well, the last time we saw Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy on this channel was when she was being shredded by Martin Lewis over the removal of the winter fuel payment. Poor love. Looked like a deer caught in the headlights. I thought she was going to cry. Well, now she's admitted that the TV licence is unenforceable. But tell that to the hundreds of people who have been fined. Welcome to Grey Matters. Hello and welcome to Grey Matters, the channel that promotes the fact that the older generation still matters and has relevance, and which looks at issues that matter to the older generation. And TV licensing is one of those matters. The TV license is undoubtedly past its sell-by date. Gone are the days when you had to have a license just to own a telly. I mean, I used to work at Curry's back in the 60s, and everyone who bought a TV was given a license application form to complete. That was eventually watered down to getting them to sign a declaration that they already had a license. But of course, these days you don't need a license just to own a telly or to listen to the radio. But it's surprising how many people still think you do. I can guarantee there'll be a couple of comments below saying that we've got it wrong and you do need one. What riles most of our subscribers seems to be that all the money from the fees goes directly to the BBC, no matter what channels you watch or record live. You might only watch ITV or Channel 5, but if you watch them live, you need a licence, and the BBC profits from it. It's an obsolete and archaic system, and it needs to go. So Lisa Nandy has now admitted as much, but has stopped short of saying what will replace it. She and her people are looking at the options. Well, you good people know as well as I that the only option is for the BBC to start showing adverts. They already receive advertising revenue from outside the UK. The problem is, with a few exceptions, their content is pretty dire. I mean, who'd want to advertise with them for a start? If you look at Channel 5 and ITV, they are screening mountains of great original dramas, and that's attracting advertisers in droves. We've, at Grey Matters Towers, have been licence free for about 5 years, and to be honest, the only programmes I miss are Line of Duty and The Repair Shop. Everything else, well, I enjoy watching on the other channels, and I watch on catch up. Now, the BBC's charter comes up for renewal in 2027, and Nandy will have to have her ducks in a row by then, or we could be lumbered with another God knows how many years under the current licence fee model. But what are the options, I wonder? Well, those of you who were with us a year ago will recall that we did an episode about the rumour that the licence fee could be added to our council tax. Well, that caused outrage with 195,000 people who watched it. And if the current system's unworkable, then surely the only thing the government can do, if they want to keep the current funding model, is to compel everyone to pay it, whatever they watch. And can you imagine the outcry and the backlash to that? They could go subscription only, but I think the take-up will be tiny. My preference will be pay-per-view. You get that with some subscription services already, where you pay for specific content. But again, that wouldn't be enough to fully fund them. So what do you reckon? How would you fund the BBC? I also don't know really why she's been quoted as saying the licence is unenforceable. There are apparently now more prosecutions than ever before. And I guess that's probably for two reasons. Firstly, there are so many more people ditching the licence, and secondly, the BBC is getting desperate to make up for lost revenue. Now, I understand that Nandy has accepted that women, the elderly and the disabled are being disproportionately targeted and prosecuted. But what's she got to do about it? She needs to act on that. The BBC, if you didn't know, has an army of salesmen employed by Capita who they call enforcement officers, and who will reportedly use underhand tactics to get into your home or to get you to admit to watching or recording live TV without a licence. which you really shouldn't do. But if you do, the only way they'd know is if you tell them. They have no powers of entry without a warrant, and they need pretty solid evidence to get one. They can't just do that by looking through your windows. That's illegal. Now, there's lots of advice online on how to deal with the goons, as they're affectionately called. Actually, I better go affectionately called, hadn't I? But the most important advice is, as soon as you know who it is, just say no thank you and shut the door. If you're intent on engaging with them, then film the visit. You're entitled to do so whether it's on your own property or in the street. You don't need the goons' permission, although many will insist that you do. Filming in a public place is perfectly legal, and obviously filming on your own property is perfectly legal. They're on your property, they have no rights to privacy. The not so clever advice is to film the encounter and then chase or follow them down the street hurling abuse at them, as I've seen many times on YouTube. Now, unless you're welded to the BBC and its programming, then I would seriously suggest you consider going licence free. With the exception of BBC content, you can probably watch all your favourite shows on catch-up channels. Just remember, you mustn't watch or record any live TV or use iPlayer. And live TV doesn't just mean live events like sports. It refers to all programmes broadcast in accordance with the TV channel's programme schedule. So now you know, and it's time to ditch that licence. Having said that, I do understand that for many older people that might be confusing, worrisome and maybe a step too far, particularly in the light of the harassment letters. And incidentally, I recall the black belt barrister saying that there was a good case for harassment against Capita, as they keep making threats to visit, state investigations have been launched and giving deadlines for the recipients to meet, with no intention to carry them out.
I disagree with it. I think it's wrong. I think at some point someone will decide that this is going to court. They're taking them to court, they're suing them for harassment, and quite frankly, they might win. And so these type of letters do frustrate me for the particular reason that a lot of people are distressed by them, because I've met them in person. People I know have been distressed by them. And a significant proportion of people plead guilty to this offence who may well not be guilty of what they're accused of. And that I severely object to.
I reckon that's a good case for a class action, I would have thought. But I'll leave a link to the Black Belt Barristers channel down below. So let us know your TV licensing stories and views in the comments. We do try to read them all, and if you've not yet subscribed, please feel free to hit that button and the notification bell. So in the meantime, that's it for this edition. Thank you for joining us, and until we see you next time on Grey Matters, is bye for now.